What's going on, disc golf fans? We are here for the 2025 PDGA United States Amateur Disc Golf Championship presented by Discraft. This is a PDGA Major. And I want to shout out all of our Patreon supporters as usual. I'm Derek, and we have PJ in the booth, and this commentary is weighed by Marshall Street. Big shout out to them. And a special thank you to the Homewood Suites by Hilton here in Brighton, Michigan, for helping sponsor this coverage as well. Let's take a look at who we have here. How you feeling, PJ?
I'm feeling good. I like our card today. We got Zach Peters, Ezra Calhoun, Alan Vazquez, Judah Kooistra. Yeah. And Zach Peters, highest rated player at the event.
Yeah, probably the oldest on our card as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing how everything shakes out as we jump into the first. Everyone knows this one. Hole 1, 516-foot par 3. It's going to be moving left to right, OB all along the side, long as well. So let's see what Zach can do.
Going with the backhand turnover. Just takes a branch off the tee. Really taking off a lot of speed.
Unfortunate start to the event. Ezra the lefty. We're jumping right into it. Stockheiser for him.
Yeah, it seemed like a good angle. Kind of got a lot of drop there. You'll see there's like a little bit of wind going on.
Yeah, a little dance in the air. Alan, our first forehand of the round so far. A little dance in the air for that as well, picking up speed. That should be just fine.
Yeah, looks like the wind's not super friendly for getting them all the way to the basket, but isn't turning them over too bad or anything either.
That looks like it's got nice pace on it, leveling up nicely. Finds himself pin high. That's great.
Yeah, he's got a putt for the birdie. One of the harder holes out here.
Oof. A little low for Zach.
Yeah. Just maybe a little bit of nerves on hole 1.
Oh, that was a solid bid.
Yeah. From downtown, almost rings it up.
Oh, flashing chains right side, just a little too right for anything to catch. Kind of air ball there from Zach.
Yeah. It's probably just first hole jitters for Zach. See if he can get this one in there. There you go.
Should find some traditional cleanups here for the rest of the folks.
Yeah, everyone taking pars, not really losing strokes to the field here. Average more than a quarter stroke above par.
All right, jumping into hole 2, uphill, 680-foot par 4. Going to be the landing zone right about where the drone is now. Still got plenty of work. Name of the game is to keep it center, profile, as you fight your way up. Pretty good elevation here. Just a reminder, this is probably very familiar as we were here at USAMs last year, and we've been at D-Glow here many times before.
Yeah, and this hole, like hole 1, is a really good par. You got a lot of distance to go up the hill in 2 shots for your birdie.
I like the turnover play that you ride that left side because it really helps you kind of fight up that hill. So you really want to throw something flippy. That just didn't have the flip to it. Not a bad shot by any means, just not nearly the distance that you're looking for.
Yeah, I'd say most of these guys are probably, really just trying to land in the middle, and if they happen to get the distance to get all the way up the hill, then that's a big bonus. And, after his drive, he knew he was just playing it for par. Keeps it in the middle of the fairway nicely.
Alan with quite the force on the release, making his way up there.
Yeah.
Overhand shot here.
Yeah, you'll be seeing that a few times from Zach today when he's out of position. He's got a nice overhand. And then here's Ezra.
Whoa. Keeping you on your toes, PJ.
Yeah, he gets all the way up there. Just maybe just inside 20 feet or so. Really nice shot.
That scoots up there pretty nice. Little past pin high. Yeah, Zach is kind of in the shoal a little bit. Gets stopped up early, just outside the circle, it looks like.
Yeah, right on the edge there. Another tester for him for par. Let's see if he can knock this one down, as Alan puts it, as close as he wants, really. Much better looking putt than hole one.
Yeah. A little more calibrated, I'd say.
Yeah, kind of a no-doubter, really. Real casual. And some cleanup here. Nice. Those can still be a little nervy. You know, if hole one, you kind of had a tap in, you step up to hole two, especially that putt for birdie. It's like, oh, got a birdie on one of the harder holes. Let's see if you can knock it in, and he did. And Judah with the nice cleanup as well. Ezra, one of 5 birdies on the hole.
Nice. All right, we're going back downhill for the third, but this time at 915 feet. Also a par 4, also OB, all along that left side. Also, I believe OB here on that patch early as well. We've seen a mix of that over the years. I do kind of like the OB there.
Makes the course play faster overall.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is turning over. Really going off there to the left.
That's right on the line.
Yeah.
It's right on the line at best. We'll take a better look when we get up there. That's got a good angle to it.
Yeah.
That's going to nestle pretty much right in the middle where you want to be.
Yeah, great shape there. Great nose angle, great hyzer angle. Like, ends up turning over a little bit onto anhyzer with the nose down. Just never not in the middle of the fairway.
I actually forgot to mention that it's actually OB all along that right side in that rough as well. That's the miss you don't want because it really puts you out of position to try to scramble forward.
Yeah.
And as I say that, very unfortunate turn of events for Zach.
Yeah.
Throwing 3 now.
Just gets it like a little low, a little turned over. He really wasn't going for too much there. Just, you know, maybe a little out of position with the downhill run up.
That's a textbook shot.
Yeah.
Up and over the OB.
That ended up safe.
Much wider here for Ezra. Very unintended. Goes out of bounds early, but does fight back in early, so he'll be taking his relief from up there. Allen going up and over as well.
Parks it for his birdie.
There's that overhand shot again.
Yeah, and you saw he took relief there, back away from the out of bounds.
Yeah, one of my favorite rules that I don't think a lot of people really recognize, and I think that you'll probably notice that less with amateurs as well. I think maybe just from their unfamiliarity with.
That was a good double bogey putt there from Zach.
Good way to finish strong for our 1,000 rated player here.
Yeah, he is got a hole to dig himself out of.
Weak side miss for Judah. That's unfortunate. With a lot, Allen putts with a lot of force there.
Yeah,
being that close.
It's kind of impressive how much power he gets on that putt that he brings to his right hip.
We're through 54 holes.
It is going to be an exciting championship Sunday.
Evelina with what might have been the single best drive in the division.
Evelina has been so good at throwing those direct lines.
2024 PDGA Champions Cup presented by Bushnell winner, Evelina Salonen.
All right, jumping into hole 4, par 4, 580. Off the tee, you really want to beat these trees that we're creeping up on right now. Kind of landing anywhere around here. But not an easy feat, as there are quite a bit of guardians there. Then work your way back uphill. Pretty steep drop off on the backside as well. So usually committing to the hyzer, you do have to push it just far enough to beat this tree. Unfortunately, Alan does not, but does trickle down into a usable space.
Yeah, you really just want like a usable tee shot. Like you can, be behind a tree, be under some branches, just as long as you have some sort of shot into the green. It's hard to find prime positioning here, at least consistently.
I think I like Ezra's the best so far.
Yeah. Never really thought about it, but lefty forehand does play well for this hole.
Yeah, you get to play that flare there at the end to push you a little further into the clearing on that left-hand side.
Yeah, it looks like Judah and Zach kind of pushed it a bit too far right there.
Oh, a little double doink action.
Yeah.
I think he should have a open look from there, though.
Yeah, it should be relatively open, but you really want to get to the bottom of the hill when you're out of position like that, because it's a pretty easy par. Ooh, as I say that.
That was a very aggressive play, and I just think it got a little too away from him.
Yeah,
This is probably a little more of what was the intention.
Yeah. It's kind of like the steps are there anyway. Like, it's unlikely you'll get a really close look for birdie, so... Yeah, Alan just...
That's a tester for the par.
Yeah, it's maybe 40 feet or so uphill with a drop-off behind the basket. It's a tough one. And that's about the same. Maybe a little bit closer. This was Ezra. He had an early release on his approach, but... able to pitch out just fine. That is not a layup.
No, full-blown run. I think it should have sat on the backside of the slope.
Yeah, you had a nice nose angle. Oh!
Good bid. Really solid bid. Let's see if we can see the same from Alan. A little right. Does hang on. Not too much in danger, but as you see there, the danger can come up quick.
Yeah. Both Zach and Alan were lucky enough to sit right there. If it rolled away, they were not going to be as happy. Ezra with the nice cleanup. He kind of played this hole pretty well. If his approach was just a little bit more on target, he probably would have walked away with a pretty easy birdie. Alan gets his bogey there.
I really like that flip that Alan does when he's walking up to the basket. He does that like triple flip with the disc, and that's always fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into hole 5, a par 3 at 480 downhill. So it plays a little shorter than that, but it is pretty tight. You kind of want to just throw a low-speed disc kind of right at it, and kind of lower nose angle as well.
Yeah, a lot of 7 speeds, or for the bombers, just a mid-range. And that's a great shot. You really don't need any more than that. There's also OB long.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little more turn on that, and he's
it
probably parking it.
I was going to say, what happened there? It looked like it just did not want to flip up at all.
Yeah. His discs aren't super cooperating with him so far in terms of how they're flipping or not flipping on these shots.
Fortunate kick for Alan. That's great.
Yeah, that'll give him a nice long bid at it.
Much more in the open.
And this is more the flight that you want. Maybe a little more height, and he gets all the way there.
Honest bid.
Yeah, and it
it's
does
sat.
sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, he just gets so much pop off of that.
You can really tell that Alan spends a lot of time with his putting. The form is really concise.
Ooh. Just a little bit off. No one making their circle 2 birdie look. Judah was with the nice comebacker. Should be relatively easy cleanup from there. Not a lot of birdies on this hole. About 12 for the entire field. So one of
We
the
have,
harder
about
holes.
140 players or so.
Yeah,
Something like
around that. So par frame, not too bad on this one. Can really get into some trouble if you hit early.
All right, here on the 6th, a third of the way through. It's slightly uphill, dogleg to the right. Undulating hills as you move forward, and then a big valley to cross to get to the green. Little danger as you approach the green for rollaways. It's all about touch on the second. You want to beat that corner and basically get as much distance as you can, but that's a little less important as in terms of you'd rather be more center than far.
Yeah, it actually looked like Ezra was getting pretty aggressive with the lefty forehand there and just kind of overcooked it. Turned it over a bit too much to the right, and then Zach hit that tree. Didn't quite get the right movement on it.
I like the righty backhand turnover where it's got, enough stability to flatten out. I think that can kind of keep you out of trouble a little better.
Yeah, you can just throw a mid or a putter, keep it in the middle.
Like that shot was great.
Yeah. And he's actually got a pretty good angle here. He's just pretty far back.
A little low, not able to creep up that hillside.
Yeah, ends up circle 2 or so. Another overhand.
Comes up a little short, gonna stick on the slope just shy of the green.
Yeah, he's maybe circle's edge right there. Quite uphill. And that one's good. Middle to shallow circle 2. Got a pretty free run at it. Just a little low on the hill. If he gets that a little farther left or a little more power, that'll probably take a skip towards the basket. But hillside kind of eats Allen here and doesn't quite get the C2 bid in.
I'm wondering if that was partially because the footing being uneven on that hillside
Yeah.
kind of caused him to early release the putt a little bit.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky.
I'd say that's kind of a common miss when you're putting uphill as well. You're trying to really judge the angle and you hit the band.
Yeah, especially a straddle putt. You really got to use the height of the disc to get it in there.
Yeah, no pendulum effect with the back leg to keep it lower.
And a bunch of par cleanups here. Really not too bad. This hole plays harder than you'd expect, harder than it looks. It's only 519 feet, but it's very much position golf.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Another par frame?
Mm-hmm.
All right, jumping in to the 7th, par 4, 667. Basically, you want to fight up the hill late in the tee shot. And then we got another mounded green as well. Because it doesn't seem like you're kind of fighting uphill because the tee area technically is higher than what that hillside is. But that's quite a big distance away. So unless you're clearing it, you are going to kind of be playing up.
Yeah, distance really helps on this one. You see Zach's got some nice distance, and that puts him in a really good spot. They'll have either a kind of like a tight backhand hyzer or a forehand flex from there with an approach. Yeah, or an overhand. But that far left, you're probably a little cut off from the right-handed backhand hyzer. You're probably going forehand there if you're trying to get the birdie.
I really, that was the best line, I think. Just a little short.
And that's not too bad. He gets out into the open. Be a long putt from there, but you know, they're hitting their lines a lot of the time.
Yeah, I agree.
So far, it's just, you know, tough to get exactly where you want to land. You know, both this hole and the last hole, it really helps to be in the right position.
There's just all different varying slopes on this fairway as well. Like you got the right to left downward slope. You got this upward slope for the green.
Yeah. This course really rewards like accurate distance on these par fours.
Oh man.
Thought he had that one, and it was close.
Alan is hunting for those C2 stats today.
Yeah, Zach with the nice birdie, you know, great position and distance off the tee, and then great approach. Gets rewarded. Some par cleanups here. Rest of the card really didn't bite off too much after being out of position. Smart play from all of them, really.
All right, here on the 8th, par 4, 500 foot, really tight to get out from the tee area. Going to land right about where the drone is now. Then you're going to go uphill again and to the right, with some low-hanging branches to kind of help guide it. Pretty stock hyzer shot landing. I'd say you probably want to be a little further left off the tee to keep that open.
Yeah, it's really tough to get far left. You want to be as far left as possible, but you're not really expecting it, just because it's hard to get the disc nose up enough to, and still get under that branch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're playing it into that hillside, or that little mound area, so it kind of bites a lot of it out.
Yeah. Most people are going to go really high for their second shot anyway. Yeah, everyone just kind of, you know, hitting the middle of the gap, keeping it safe. No one really trying to get it super far left. You know.
And I believe the spotter did say that we were the first card to go 4 for 4 hitting the gap.
Nice. And a little bit of lefty advantage there, just towering hyzer. Hard to do that with a forehand, really. And then got some backhand turnovers. These are going to be a little lower than the towering hyzer, but just as good, really. That was a great shot from Judah.
The backhand turnover is risky because if you catch edge...
Yeah, you can roll down for sure. And this one just sat right down on the other side of the tree there. That'll be a circle 2 look. And kind of just a steep turnover. Almost looked like a roller. Maybe just a little too much anhyzer,
Yeah,
but
a little overcommitment.
it's pretty good.
Oh, whoa.
Speaking of pretty good.
Zach heating up. Preheating that oven.
Yeah, it's 2 birdies in a row for him now.
Mid C2.
I'd say that's like the far edge of C2. Really, that was a long one.
Oh man, he got big putted, and he's been hitting metal all day, so that's extra disappointing.
Yeah, and that might end up ruining the star frame too. Whew. Keeps it in there to get back to even par. So far, everyone's keeping it kind of even since the rocky start from Zach. He's coming back now.
All right, here rounding out our front nine with a 472-foot par 3 downhill. Some trees near are going to be kind of moving slightly left to right.
Yeah, I'd say your average drive here bails out a little bit to the left for the righty backhand. This one ends up just a little right. That's a circle 2 look.
And it's safe.
Yeah, he's just kind of putting out of the tall grass a little bit. If he was a little farther right, that would be kind of tough.
So as I was saying, that moving left to right is pretty much the ideal line.
Yeah. And it's, a lot more convenient when you have the high spin rate of the lefty backhand versus a righty forehand.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're not seeing anyone going righty forehand, even though they almost certainly have the distance downhill like this.
Flip.
Yeah, this one had the right flight. It just was a little left out of the hand. Kind of digs into the ground, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed in that one.
Yeah, he's got another circle 2 look.
Can you do it? Man. And I don't mean to laugh at your pain. I'm not actually laughing. I'm only laughing so I don't cry. But as we see Zach putting in another one from outside, getting the turkey.
Yeah,
3 birdies in a row. That was sneaky. That kind of crept up on us.
Yeah, just, really good position golf on 7 and nice putt here on 8 and 9. You can see why he's 1,000 rated.
Yeah, he was mentioning that, he was 950 rated for a while and then learned how to putt. That was and he's showing. So let's take a look here. A good variety, I'd say. Some good, some bad, and some right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Good finish for the front 9 for Zach. So he's really starting to pick up pace. Kind of take back some of those OB strokes as we take a look at some of the other players in the field and how they're doing.
And some of these players have already finished their round, so...
Again, special thanks to Homewood Suites by Hilton here in Brighton, Michigan, for sponsoring this coverage. And thank you to all of you, all of our Patreon supporters. If you would be interested in helping produce content like this, head on over to patreon.com/gatekeepermedia. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the back nine.
See you there.